Yo, what's up? Today is going to be an epic video, and it's all about the art of mirroring. Yes. Oh, it's going to be good. Listen, if you're new to my channel, welcome. My name is Kane. I'm the Silver Bachelor. This channel is 100% dedicated to dating advice for older guys. If you're new, hit that subscribe button and hit the notification button because I'm dropping a video every day. All right. The art of mirroring. Yes. And what we're going to get into today is the art of mirroring with respect to modern dating and neurolinguistic programming, if you haven't heard of that term, or NLP. So I was first introduced to this term NLP, neurolinguistic programming, from Tony Robbins when I was going on a rampage reading all kinds of books, self-help, personal development stuff back when I was in my 20s. So now I listen to a lot of podcasts. My favorite thing to do is listen to audiobooks when I'm driving to work or anywhere else in general. It's a lot more efficient. I can whip through probably 1 to 2 books per week just based on just driving around instead of sitting there reading. I know some people like to read books because it's a quiet time for them, but I'm constantly on the go. I've got lots of stuff that I have to do, so it's very hard for me to sit down and just read a book. So I covered in one of my videos before a book called Influence from Robert Cialdini. I'm just taking a look at my notes here to make sure I get everything correct. So now I want to get into the art of mirroring, which there was a book. The book title is Mirroring People by Marco Iacoboni. Marco Iacoboni. So just go onto Amazon and look for Mirroring People, that book. So why this is insignificant and why I wanted to share this is because I practice mirroring in my dating game, all right? And I would encourage you to do the same thing. And what's wild is just seeing what happens when you test these different things. So that's one of the things about dating is you have to test things and see what happens, right? And I'm huge on results. So if you get positive results, keep doing that thing. If you get negative results, stop doing that thing. But what's most important is you're aware of what's happening when you're doing those things, right? Okay, so let's get into this. So studies have proven that mirroring increases bonds in people, increases sales. So for example, waitresses that mirror the customers get higher tips. Salespeople that mirror in sales transaction situations get more sales. Also, what's crazy is students that mirror other students, and then the one student that asks a student, hey, can you help write me an essay? That person is more likely to comply and write that essay. So this reminds me of one of the most important things the takeaways out of that book, Influence. So one of the biggest things in that book, there was a study that was done with this photocopy machine in a school or in a campus, right? And so long lineup every Saturday or whatever, this photocopy machine, people using it for copies, and it's constantly a line. So they took one person and dressed the same. Everything was the same except for one thing. So this person would go to the front of the line and say, hi, I need to make some copies. Is that okay? Or something like this, right? So then that person would be met with aggression almost every single time. Different day, same person wearing the exact same thing would go up to the front of the line and say, hi, I need to make some copies because I'm in a rush. Just using that word because in anything you're asking as a question, it triggers this compliance thing in the brain that doesn't work all the time. But most of the time people go, okay. So for example, you're out on a date's going really well, and you say, hey, would you like to come back to my place for a nightcap because I want to keep the evening going? Right? Dudes, I have used this before. I don't use it all the time because it just depends on the situation, but if I feel the vibe is good and she would most likely come over, I will drop that word in because, and pretty much every time I use it, she's back at my place. We're having a nightcap. Right? Okay, so in dating, I want to give you some examples of the mirroring thing. So I was on a date recently, and she was definitely an 8, solid 8, right? Very attracted to her. But so, first date, we go to this cocktail bar. I always sit at the bar. There's seating, like you can sit at seats, and I don't want anything on a first date to feel like an interview, right? Where you're sitting across from the person. So I always choose to sit at the bar with bar stools, but I always scope out the place in advance, like looking at their pictures, to make sure the bar stools are comfortable, because I live in Atlanta and there's a couple places here, and the restaurants are fantastic, but they have these shitty wooden bar stools. Ugh, they're so uncomfortable, and women are very big into being comfortable. And if they're comfortable, they'll sit there longer, right? Us guys, we don't really tend to care so much. So I go to this place and I sit at the bar, and she's sitting beside me. One of the things that I always do is I never touch them first, because I want to see if there's a connection and they're attracted to me, right? So touching, what happens is that when she starts to feel comfortable, and if she is attracted to me, she will touch me on the shoulder. Let's say she's laughing, she's like, that's so funny, right? So that's an example of the touching. So if she touches me first on the shoulder, then over the course of the next few minutes, whatever, I will do the same thing. I'll say, oh, that's so funny. You're good. And I will do back and forth, like ping pong, right? She does one thing, I do another thing. She does one thing, I do another thing. So, for example, out of the blue, again, first date, and I'm like, okay, this is going well. Because I'm sitting right beside her, she puts her hand on my leg. And I'm like, okay, that's a fantastic sign. So then she puts her hand on my leg, and I put my hand on her hand and I hold her hand. So that's what I mean about the mirroring. The other thing I'm going to suggest is mirror the way she texts you. This is critical. So a lot of you guys are saying good morning all the time. You're saying have a good night all the time. You're texting, 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 like you're this needy little girl. I'm sorry, man, but it's very, very needy behavior, and you need to stop doing that. So what I do is I mirror their texting style. If they use emojis, I'll use emojis. If they text me maybe once a day, maybe only twice a day, maybe every other day, I do the same thing. If they say good morning to me, I will say good morning to them. And it's, again, ping pong, mirroring, right? And that's how I get great results from my dating. And I mirror this behavior. And what happens is also the sexual desire that she has for you will increase, because, like I said, studies have shown that bonds become more strong when there's mirroring and the person feels like they have something in common with the other thing. So don't think of this as manipulation, but rather it is being aware of your surroundings and getting better results from people, right? Is that people at the end of the day, they want to feel comfortable around you, whether they're giving you, look, man, if you're looking for a job, that's the other thing. In an interview, you're at an interview and you need to mirror those other people. Instead of being nervous, just take a look at their body language, do the same thing. Obviously, there's certain mirroring things you don't want to do. Like if they're sitting there and they've got their arms crossed, you don't want to do that. But in dating, it's critical, because at the end of the day, like I said, the woman needs to feel comfortable around you. If she feels comfortable, you're going to have a much higher chance of intimacy sooner than later. I will say this, I will make an exception to the mirroring thing if the woman doesn't want to be intimate and weeks have gone by, dates have gone by. Like, I'm not going to wait months for this person. Like, I don't have to. Remember, we have options just like women have options. And the better you take care of yourself, the more income you make. Doesn't matter your age, but number one is if you take care of yourself and you have good grooming, you have good style, and you have a good job, you have options, okay? All these other soft skill things and dating, and if you're nervous and all these things, you can improve that. So thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments what you think, and if you recommend any neuro linguistic NLP books that I can read or go through, and if there's any other topics you'd like me to cover. So till next time, we'll see you soon.